Guys, good morning. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. There's this bunch of stories I want to talk about today. I didn't know what to settle on. I'm going to go with this. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. I've gone to movies with Trump supporters quite a few times in the past, different Trump supporters. I was in a 4-year relationship with this girl was a hardcore Trump supporter, and her entire family, very hardcore Trump supporters. And that relationship is now done with no small part due to our political differences. Other things, but also due to our political differences. But anyway, I could never understand how we would go to movies and we'd watch movies with her, or I'd see it with other Trump supporters. And there would be a movie, and it would have a liberal hero. That's what I guess I'd call it. The person would be fighting against the government, against always a wealthy billionaire, fighting against a wealthy billionaire that doesn't care about the health of the people and manipulates women. To me, it was very obvious that a lot of these villains in these movies, and a lot of these movies were based on true things. Take, for instance, Hidden Figures or The Black Klansman, a multitude of movies. But I would watch these movies with the Trump supporters, and they would be rooting for the good guy, the liberal hero, throughout this movie. And I could never understand that. I thought it was hypocrisy or they were being fake at first, but it doesn't appear that way. They really seem to root for what I would term the underdog, the liberal figure in a lot of these movies. And then I could never understand that after the movie was over, they would revert back to this capitalist, authoritarian supporting Trump supporter, and I could never understand that. Another thing is calling the Hollywood people the Hollywood elite. I don't get that. I thought about this yesterday, and I finally realized what it might be about. I made another video when I was sitting in a barbershop, and these two guys were talking about what a douchebag Robert De Niro is. And I love De Niro, man. I've always loved his movies. And on top of that, I think he's a great guy, a great person. And I don't understand the hypocrisy, how they could call actors. A lot of these actors, I mean, Tom Cruise, John Travolta are wealthy, rich. But a lot of actors have to continue making movies to support themselves, to make a living. The majority, I would imagine. I would never consider them the elite. And the hypocrisy of supporting a multi-billionaire landowner that owns half the property in New York City, the largest city in the world, a man that has a penthouse with gold toilets in it, and they have the hypocrisy to turn around and call, I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow or I don't know, any of these actors, the Hollywood elite. I do not get it. But I started thinking about it. And a lot of these movies are based in reality, like Hidden Figures or The Black Klansman. And I started thinking about it. And a lot of these movies show truth, reality of history. And I think it's a lot of truth in history that it's almost a form. I wouldn't call it the news or a news story, but it's a story of something historically that happened in the past. And yes, it's not always perfectly accurate. But I think this bothers some Trump supporters too on some level. It's a form of the news, and I think a lot of Trump supporters dislike the news because it's the reality that breaks this cloudy smoke and mirrors thing they have of Trump being the candidate for the people. Between Trump's tweets and the Republicans and Fox News, they create this story that it's all about America and the working man. And And I just don't see that. And I never understood the hypocrisy. And one other thing I want to talk about here on YouTube, there's a lot of videos, clips taken from Marvel movies using like Captain America. And the Trump supporters will put Trump's head on top, superimpose it on the person's body. And a lot of times, too, they'll take Hillary Clinton, one of their favorite punching bags, and put her face on the villain. And have, so it's Trump like pounding on Hillary Clinton. And it's always bothered me on a level too, that it's like they're fantasizing about Donald Trump be physically pounding on Hillary Clinton, which bothers me on so many levels. And then the fact that Stan Lee was a certified liberal, Democrat supporter. He wasn't very into politics, but he was by far he of course he supported capitalism, and he was against communism and everything, but he was definitely left wing. And the fact that these Trump supporters use his movies to support their own altered vision, this fantasy vision of Trump as some muscled hero, I find it bizarre, and I find it psychologically troubling on a lot of levels. I never understood the Trump supporters' hypocritical relationship and bizarre relationship with movies and actors and the Marvel universe. Just something that confuses me. One more thing that confuses me about Trump supporters. All right. You guys have a good Monday.